Yo, what up, people? This is another episode of the Hustlers Blueprint podcast. I got my homie with me today, man. We've done some deals together. Brian, introduce yourself, bro.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Bryant Bettez. Currently live in Manchester, New Hampshire. Um, met Mike. We joined a mentorship not together, but I met Mike through a mentorship that we were in, man. And we like he said, we did some deals together, and we might do another deal here together very, very soon.
Hell yeah, bro. We're doing all the deals. What do you got going on? What are you working on right now? Like, what does your day to day look like? What does your business look like? All that stuff.
Yeah. So right now, um, I took more of the back seat in the integrator role in my business. So, me
Sorry about
me
that.
working on implementing the right systems for the business, me, working with our callers directly and our VAs directly. So day to day, first thing I do in the morning is I train one of our cold callers, and
So
she
back
works.
up a little bit. Explain
Okay.
exactly like what you do. Do you do real estate? Do you do
Oh, my bad, my bad, my bad, my bad.
Are you a
I
dumpster
forget, I
company?
forget,
Like,
I forget. So yeah, so I do real estate. We do wholesaling and fix and flips, and this year we're looking to get into the Airbnb um, game as well. Whether that's Airbnb arbitrage, which is beautiful thing because you don't actually have to physically own the property, or building my assets and purchasing some properties and turn them into Airbnbs myself.
oh yeah, that arbitrage stuff is cool.
Yes, sir.
I've been pitching that out to some of my leads that I have. I got some leads down in Florida. We've just been pitching it as like, yo, it's vacant. Why don't you just let us rent it out for you?
Yep. Yep. Florida, bro. All those markets down south, Florida, Georgia, we're in Atlanta. We're looking to expand into Florida. The Carolinas, I think, is perfect for, Airbnbs.
Yeah, it's killer. So just a background story for the listeners if they don't know what Airbnb arbitrage is. It's when you have a homeowner that has a house and they're willing to rent it out to you at a certain price. Let's just say it's 2,000 bucks a month, but you can rent it out on Airbnb for let's say 4,000 bucks a month. You just cash flow. You sign the lease. You're paying the landlord 2,000 bucks, and then your weekly renters are coming in and paying you 4 grand a month, and you just make that 2 grand spread. So what we've been doing, we've been talking to leads down in Florida and stuff like that that have these houses that might be vacant or they just have a bad tenant and they would rather just rent it out because they know they're getting a guaranteed, let's just call it 2,000 bucks a month from an establishment, rather than having to deal with all the tenants. So that's exactly what Airbnb arbitrage is. But hell yeah, bro. So pretty much, what do? You have a bunch of cold callers and stuff calling these people, and you're looking to figure out if you can buy people's houses or something.
Yes, sir. So long story short, like I said, we do wholesaling, and we're looking to do, we do some fix and flips as well. But what our team does is, we really scaled and then we cut back, and then we scaled and then we cut back. So we have some virtual assistants who are overseas. So we have one right now that's in the Philippines and two that are in Venezuela. And the one in the Philippines cold calls homeowners and asks if they might be interested in selling their property. And if somebody's interested in selling their property, we will see if we can help them out, solve their problem, whatever issues they're going through. And if we can be a good fit for them, then we'll purchase the property or we'll wholesale it to a cash buyer. If we're not a good fit for them, we'll try to refer them to a real estate agent. And then we have a full-time texter as well. So basically, just like the cold caller, texter not actually getting on the phone unless somebody tells them, "Hey, I am interested in selling my property." They respond with a positive answer, and from then the texter will go ahead and go through the script and pass it off to our lead manager, who's also from Venezuela, and she's the first point of contact following up with leads. So when that lead comes in from a cold call, she's qualifying or disqualifying that lead to see if it's a good fit for us. Somebody might say, "Hey, we're not looking to sell for another 6 months." All right, we'll keep that in our system, and she'll be in touch with them, every 3 weeks, see if anything changes.
Got it. So after it goes to the lead manager then qualifies it, and then somebody gets on the phone and figures out if they can get in the contract or something?
Yes, sir. So from then, my business partner Lenny, who does all of our acquisitions, he'll get on the phone with the seller, and if we can make a deal and we're a good fit and we can help solve their problem, he'll go ahead and put an agreement together and sign an agreement with the seller. And if it gets to Lenny and we're not a good fit at this time, we'll just continue to follow back up with them. So then it will go right back down to our lead manager position. Her name's Dana, and she'll just keep following up with them. Sometimes the price is too high. Sometimes the timing's wrong, whatever it may be. She'll just keep following up with them until they are ready to sell again, and then she'll pass it back up to Lenny.
Okay, and then what happens there? So Lenny gets on the phone with them, and let's just say a contract happens, right?
Yes,
so that means Lenny and Brian's business, this contract says we're looking to purchase this house at 123 Main Street at $100,000 or something. What happens from there?
From there, we're going to decide what our best disposition route is. So if it's a property that's distressed and it needs some work, we're looking at the numbers and we're saying, okay, do we want to fix the property up and sell it back on the market? If it's distressed and we have a large influx of deals that we're doing and we don't want to allocate funds or we don't want to allocate time to that deal, what we'll then go ahead and do is we will see if we want to wholesale it. And what wholesaling is taking that contract that you have with the seller and you're assigning that contract to a cash buyer. So what that looks like is my contract says Bryant LLC, for instance, agrees to pay $100,000 to seller's name. But in the contract, it has assignment language where it says Bryant LLC has the option to assign this contract to a third party. So we agree on $100,000 with the seller. In turn, we might say, hey, we don't really want to do this project, or hey, we weren't even looking to really buy this at all. We just wanted to wholesale it. So from there, we'll go find a buyer for a higher price. So we'll go out and maybe market it for $120,000 and bring in a third-party cash buyer who says, yes, I'll agree to $120,000. We'll put an assignment contract in place with that party, and then we'll go to closing, and that contract will be assigned to the third party. They'll close on it. We'll make the $20,000 spread.
Love that. So what makes you decide whether or not you want to wholesale it or flip it yourself?
A couple things, right? Scope of work. A lot of times, how long is the project going to take us? We want to be in and out in, 3 months, 4 months max. And sometimes that's hard to do, right? Depending on what the property conditions are. If, it's a full gut rebuild, it could take you 6 months. If you're adding an addition, you got to work with the town to get permits and do all that stuff. If you're adding square footage, so depends on the complexity of the project and if we're up to it at that time. I'll tell you what though, wholesaling is a beautiful thing. You're not getting your hands dirty. There's no liability, right? You're just getting a contract and then assigning it. You don't have to worry about the headaches that go along with the fix and flip game.
And you're out of the deal.
You get your cash, you walk away, it's on to the next one.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing, bro. It's fun.
Absolutely.
So you got this direct to seller business going on, going directly to the homeowner, asking them if they're interested in selling the property. You get it under contract. You then figure out what to do, make some money from there. Anything else you got going on, or is real estate the only thing you're doing at the moment?
So real estate's the only thing that I'm doing at the moment. But I've expanded my my outreach and I've also been diving into a couple other things as well. That's important. And one of them is credit and learning about business credit and how to leverage other people's money, right? That's the name of the game. You never want to spend your own money. So I've been really focusing on that and learning how to do that, taking it back into my business, but also learning how to do other stuff with credit that, a lot of people be like, holy hell, I didn't know this was all possible. Mm-hmm. So just studying, learning the credit laws, learning how banks work, learning how to leverage that money and, in turn, maybe building a business out of it in the future. maybe get into some rental car business down south, whatever it may be. But just learning, how the banks work is a beautiful thing once you figure that out.
Yeah. So you came out with a book, right?
Yes, sir. A little ebook. It's called Manufactured Spending, and we go into how manufactured spending works. And then what I did was I also created a Facebook group. So what it is just like-minded people trying to, learn together, build together, grow together, and, learn how to leverage credit.
Got it, dude. So could you dig into, because this credit stuff is super interesting. Bryant put me onto some things. And I was like, holy shit, you could do this type of shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can dig in a little bit.
Just give the listeners a little sauce.
I don't want to. I'll give a little sauce. So, there's ways that you can leverage your credit in order to travel for free, leverage your credit card points, your credit card limits. For instance, learning how to go into a store, purchase something on a credit card and returning it to a debit card. And then you said, oh shit, I just took the cash off my credit card and put it on my debit card. And now I have X amount of dollars where I can spend it on business expenses, right? So what we do is we do stuff like that, and we'll use it for closing costs on flips. We'll use it to fund projects.
You're not using it for Gucci hats?
Nah, man. I'm not like you just yet. Not like you just yet. But
so you're liquidating these credit cards,
mm-hmm.
which for the listeners, that means he's taking the limits, whatever he has on that credit card. And if he needs it for a business expense, not freaking Gucci hats and stuff,
mm-hmm.
he goes and takes that and makes money with that liquidation that he just took out of the card.
Exactly.
So
at 0%, you're not going straight to the credit business and getting the credit card company and getting a line of credit. For other people out there that are interested in stuff like this, there's law firms out there that will do the same thing. They do charge you a little bit of a fee, but if you're looking for a high limit, liquidation, that's the way to go, because there's only a certain limit that you can really do when you do it, from an in-store purchase type standpoint.
Hell yeah. So you're doing this to fund some deals, right?
Oh, for sure. The deal that
you did it for our deal.
So the deal that Mike brought me into. Long story short, on a real estate deals, we do some creative things. My partner Lenny learned some creative things with Rodarius Mitchell, a guy that we work with out in Atlanta, and they learned how to do some creative things when deals got tight. And it wasn't a play for a hedge fund, because we disposition the hedge funds down south a lot of the time. So it wasn't a play for a hedge fund, and we had to get creative. So taking these deals that, like the one that we did together, we said, hey, we don't want to come out of pocket any money, right? So we learned how to liquidate the credit card, and Mike was like, hey, bro, we need to pay for the seller's mortgage. We need to give the seller's brother cash for keys. So we had to come out of pocket about $5,000 a piece. So I didn't want to spend my own money. So through the processes that I've learned, joining credit mentorships and that kind of stuff, and we were able to do it no money out of pocket, and we actually closed on that deal on Monday. Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
Right, you never want to say we close until we see that damn check.
Right.
But yeah, that deal's freaking cool. This deal we did, this is how creative this deal was. This deal wasn't just a creative deal when it came to, the actual transaction. It was a creative deal in the sense that we creatively found a way to do the renovations too.
Yeah, and
so we never had to buy the house. So to go back a little bit, Bryant was talking about two things: fix and flip and wholesale. So fix and flip, you have to buy the house, right? You have to actually close on it. Yeah, let's just say the house, you bought it for $200,000. You have to physically somehow get that seller $200,000.
Right.
Wholesale, you never actually buy the house. Somebody else brings that 200 grand, right? And you get a little fee in between. For this one, we kind of did a mixture of both, where we never actually bought the house, but we did some renovations and then sold it for the seller on the back end. So pretty much what it looks like is what we call this is like a fixin' list, right? We do the renovations and we help the seller get it up to speed so that it sells up on the open market, because as it was, it wouldn't have sold, or a buyer wouldn't find financing, right?
Right. You're and when he says a buyer wouldn't find financing, Mike just means your first time home buyer. So people with a FHA loan, they're the ones that have to pass a whole bunch of check marks, essentially, right? Things get checked off by the bank. And if there's chip paint in the house, the bank won't approve the loan for them to go ahead and move it. So a conventional buyer, it's a little bit more flexible. But from the FHA standpoint, what we do, we painted the place, we did a trash out and put a hand railing on, right?
Yeah.
To get a FHA buyer into that property. We never closed on it. And knock on wood, how much are we going to make on Monday?
I want to knock on wood.
If you don't want to talk about it, that's all right.
I want to knock on wood. I don't want to talk about numbers until we got it.
That's all right. Okay.
But the check says $52,000.
Yeah, so it's a good one.
Anyways, but yeah, dude, super creative how we ended up funding the deal for our repairs. It wasn't too crazy. I mean, I think it ended up coming out to like 10 grand for everything.
Right.
At the end of the day, 10 grand at 0% interest that isn't our money is way better than our money. Because, by the way, just a quick tip for anybody that's like getting into real estate investing, or they're already in there a little bit and don't already know this little trick. If you do end up using your own money, you would want to charge yourself interest, right? So let's just say me and Brian didn't, use a creative way to fund our renovations, and we came out of pocket with our own money, with our own $10,000. We would want to charge ourselves some sort of interest as a lender, right? Like we're going to lend our business $10,000 at some sort of percentage in order to do those renovations. Because at the end of the day, we're investors. We're not here. We got to keep our money working. So, Brian, tell me, how did you get here? How did you get into real estate investing? Like, what was it? As a kid, were you around a bunch of real estate stuff? Were you a business type of kid, like a little hustler? What were you like coming up?
So I played sports growing up, just super competitive. Was in sales. I went to college, graduated college, had a sales job, and then took another after that job. I took another sales job. And I was always reading about real estate. I knew real estate was the way out. I don't know how I got put onto real estate, but I always knew it was the way out. So I started reading, for anybody who knows about Bigger Pockets, I started reading about Bigger Pockets and how they invest long term, right? Buy a house every year, buy one house every year, live in it, fix it up, rent it out, buy another house. Okay, well, in 10 years, I'm going to have 10 houses. And I said, I can't wait that long. So, I wanted to get out of my W-2, and I knew that there was another way, but I just didn't know how to do it with real estate, right? I didn't know exactly how to put the pieces together. So, crazy story. My partner now, Lenny, I was reading about real estate. I was like, oh, I'm going to buy a rental. I was living in Baltimore at the time, and I'm going to buy a rental. Kept reading about it. One day, I went to college with Lenny. We played golf together up in Jersey. And he's talking about this deal that he's about to do for real estate. And I didn't understand it, but he's like, yeah, I'm about to make like 55 grand on it. I'm about to just, flip this contract to somebody else. I'm like, dude, there's no way this is freaking legal. Like this dude is just lying to me. You know what I mean? Like there's no way in hell. And he got the contract done. He got it done. And I was like, man. So I asked him about it. He told me about it. And I was just thinking about it. And I called him one day and I was like, bro, so, how does this work? And he told me. And so he introduced me to wholesaling, essentially.
Mhm.
So for a year, I was on and off. I'm like, oh, this doesn't work. I wasn't never consistent with it for an entire year. I was driving for dollars. And what that means is you're just driving around your neighborhood, your area, looking for distressed properties, writing down those addresses, going home, and what is called the skip tracing. You find out what that person's contact information is, what their cell phone number is, what their home phone number is. You pick up the phone, you call them and ask them if they'd be interested in selling their house. Mm-hmm. Well, I did that for a year solid, on and off, and never had any success with it. So last January 2021, I told myself I'm going to dedicate 1 hour at lunchtime every day. And this is right when COVID hit. So I was traveling for my job, for my regular 9 to 5. I was in sales. I sold mechanical parts. So basically just stuff that makes stuff move, I like to say. So if you walk into like a Coca-Cola facility, they have a bunch of conveyors and stuff. I sold the parts that were on those conveyors.
Okay. How were you selling it? Were you like walking into businesses and selling them?
So we sold two different ways. We sold directly to a equipment manufacturer. So like, for instance, think of like, the big company Cat, like they make the big construction equipment.
Yeah.
So we sold parts on their equipment to them directly, or what we would do is we would sell through distribution, which is like, for instance, distribution is like this, right? So Coca-Cola, for instance, they sell Coke, but you don't go directly to Coca-Cola to buy the Coke. You go to Walmart, you go to the grocery store, you go to the corner store to buy a Coca-Cola, right?
Right.
Walmart's a distributor. We sold the same way, these industrial parts, to the facilities that were using them through third-party distributors. Like some of the big ones were called Motion Industries or Applied Industrial Technologies. So that was a interesting dynamic because they had outside sales guys. I was an outside sales guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order for me to get into the plant, I had to work with their outside sales guys. So I had to build two relationships. One with the outside sales guy, so he was like, okay, I'll work with this kid. He understands what he's doing, which took about 6 months to a year to build relationships with these people. And then you got to build a relationship with the person inside the facility. Wow. So it took some time.
How do you find those? Are you cold calling them or are you going right to the place?
No. So, we had a book of business that we kind of walked into, and then it was just going in and generate, because they already sold our products, right? Mm-hmm. They already sold our products. They already purchased our products, but it was just, does this person want to work with me? And how can I provide value to this person in order to help grow my business at these facilities in my territory, or at these customers in my territory, essentially?
Got it.
So back to what I was saying, though, this is when COVID hit. We weren't allowed to travel anymore. I was traveling. Baltimore and Pennsylvania was my territory at the time. I came back home. We weren't allowed to travel. I came back home, was hanging out at my parents' house. I said, I'm going to dedicate an hour every day at lunch and an hour every day right before dinner to cold call. I pulled a list of, I think it was high equity absentee in Manchester, New Hampshire, where I'm living at right now. And probably 2 weeks went by and called this guy about one property. And he said, no, I'm not interested in selling that one, but I have a 6-unit building that I'm looking to sell. And we worked it. And this one was super creative because there was a realtor involved. And a realtor was not on our side. She was not aware that, this is where you have to be transparent with people, right? And this is what we've learned.
It was on market?
No, it was not. It was a pocket listing. It was getting ready to go on market.
Got it.
So what a pocket listing is like the realtor was getting ready to sell it on market, but she hadn't gone live with it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we locked it up, and this is when I was working with, Lenny was still like helping me out and stuff, and he locked it up, and I didn't have any buyers. So a guy named Gordon Thornton, who Mike knows as well, we posted in a Facebook group and we said, hey, anybody have any buyers in Manchester, New Hampshire for a 6-unit? And Gordon replied back. And I just remember the showing. We showed up and it was a disaster because there was the realtor was there, and we just told her, hey, we have to bring through our contractors to get a scope of work. Well, the realtor was there and like 8 people showed up. And like none of them were contractors, right? And these are all people we were trying to sell the deal to. And we left, and she got in a yelling match with Lenny on the phone, my partner, on the phone, because she knew what we were trying to do. And long story short is we worked through it, and that was when I did my first deal. So February 2021 was when I did my first deal. And then from there, I was like, okay, I need to see proof of concept, right? I just need to see how it's done. So I saw how it was done.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept building on it. We did a deal every now and then, every here and there. And finally, August of 2021, I quit my full-time job and I went all in.
Hell yeah, bro. What made you do that?
It was time for us to get back on the road for my sales job. And I was working 80 hours a week in my sales job, between being in the car most of the time and staying overnights in hotels, traveling. And I said, I can't dedicate the amount of time that I want to dedicate to growing my business and changing my life forever. So I just went all in and I took a leap of faith.
Hell yeah. So did you think you took your sales experience from your 9 to 5 and brought it into cold calling? And you think that's what led to getting that 6-unit?
I'll be honest with you. Maybe a little bit, but I had no idea what I was doing at the time. Right? I basically just took imperfect action is what you can call it. Yeah. Right? And I just said, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm just going to do this. I know there's money to be made. I know there's people that need help. I'm just going to do it and I'll figure it out on the way.
Yeah, I literally took the same exact route. I remember my first contract I ever signed. I asked the guy, I'm like, all right, so do you think you could do this number? And I had no idea about my numbers, like, at all. And he was like, all right, yeah, you're killing me, but okay. I'm like, all right, I'm going to call you right back. I'm searching on YouTube how to write a contract.
Right. I mean, hey, but you learned, right? And if you don't do that stuff, you'll never learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bro. So going back to the sports thing, you played a bunch of sports back in your younger days in high school as well.
Yeah, well, I played growing up. I was in sport, ran track, baseball, basketball, soccer, all growing up. And then when I got to high school, I just went baseball the rest of the way. And my shoulder got all jammed up. And so I would have played baseball in college. Not like I'm not trying to be that guy that says, "Oh, I could have played in college," but
Yeah, guys, we get it. Bryant could have went D1.
Yeah,
we get
I'm not trying to be that guy. I was decent, but like I wasn't going D1. I knew I wasn't going D1. I would have played D3 baseball. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But my shoulder was all jammed up. I said enough's enough. So stopped playing baseball after high school.
So what do you think about sports helping you out in entrepreneurship?
Competitiveness. That's the biggest thing. I'm super competitive. So it's a competitiveness to be better with yourself, but a competitiveness to be better as a whole team as well, right? So I want to work hard, or I do work hard because I want my business partner to work hard. I want my employees to know that if we work hard, we're going to generate income. So it's just like playing a sport, right? You work hard in practice, you're going to win games. That's the way that I look at it.
Yeah, I love that. We were just on a partnership call, and now that you're saying that, it really resonates with me because what I was talking about on the partnership call was, dude, I wake up in my business. I'm the one who calls the sellers and gets the contracts and stuff. Um, and I was telling them, I'm like, dude, I wake up every day doing these calls, knowing I have to go hard as shit because I know whatever work I put in affects what food's on your table, affects foods what you're on your table. You know what I mean? On all these people's tables, it's my responsibility to do the best I can and work my ass off. And that then goes along with your team. They feel that, they start feeling the same exact way. And it resonates in sports. I was a captain of my football team and it was the same thing. Right? Like if you're a leader in one of these sports teams, look at Tom Brady, right?
Yeah.
I might shed a thug tear really quick. my man retired this week, but look at him, bro. Like his leadership is out of this world. And it resonates in the whole entire team. From coaches to players to probably the freaking training staff.
Yep.
When he walks in that building, everybody's like, yo, it's time to get to work.
For sure.
Yeah, dude. So, you had done all these sporting things. You got into business. What are you looking to accomplish with everything, like in business at the moment? Like, what's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish?
So what I'm trying to accomplish is long-term goal is, retire my parents, get them a couple rentals, have them have a positive cash flow coming in, right? So they can enjoy their retirement and not have to worry about money. That's like my number one goal, right? Short term, I broke down the numbers, the top 1% of the wealthy, the number is 800,000. So my goal is $67,000 a month, which is $800,000 a year, which is to get into the top 1%. That's short-term goal.
Hell yeah! When are you trying to do that by?
The end of this year.
Why?
Why? Because if you don't put a time limit on it, right? If I don't look down at my calendar every single day or up at my wall, because that's where it's located on the wall where it says what I need to do, right? I'm just gonna say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. And then next thing I know, it's 2023, 2024, and I'm still in the same place in my business and in my regular life from a relationship standpoint. That I won't be where I want to be. So I said, hey, let's put it on it this year to try and set that goal to get it done this year. And if you fall short, it's not failure. It's just what can I do better to get there?
So why the 1% though? What's so hard on this 1% number?
I want to be top one. There's nothing specific about it. It's just why not want to be in, considered top 1% of the country, right?
Got it.
I heard
You're
somebody.
a 1%er, bro.
Right.
You're like, fuck that, Mike. I want to be in the top 1%.
I think it's not an ego thing or anything like that. It's just it made me put a number to something, right?
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense now. So now it forces you to find that number goal.
Right.
Because you're like, well, I don't know what my goal is. How do I justify what's a good number? What's a good number could be the 1%.
Right.
Right? Yeah,
Yep.
so I get it. So why, dude? Why talk about the money part? Like, why is it about the money? Getting to the 1% about the money.
Because here's the way I look at it, right? When you have the money, we know how to invest the money, right? You know how to invest the money. I know how to invest the money. because of what we've learned from the mentorships that we've gone in, from the conversations that you have with people, from just, building relationships throughout the last 2 years of really, trying to do what I'm trying to do, and financial freedom, and to be able to do whatever the hell I want in life, right? I want to be able to wake up in the morning and just go play golf, to be honest with you. Like,
Right.
I want to be able to wake up and say, okay, I want to go to, wherever today, Hawaii today.
Mm.
So it's more of a freedom thing. It's not a money thing. I think that I put a kind of a number on it just to have a number out there. But it's freedom and investing that money properly to be able to just wake up and receive passive income and do whatever I want to do.
So you want to just go hang out. Like you want to be able to actually Max Maxwell had a sick post. I forget where he's at. I think he's somewhere in like Africa or something, but he had a sick post. He's like, my flex is not all the chains and everything I got on. He's like, I ain't been home in a month.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm still locking contracts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still getting passive income. I'm chilling. That's my flex, which is super dope. But how do you know, like, once you get to that point, what happens, right? Like, because you could get to that point when you're making even $500,000 a year. How much do you really need? You don't need that much money, bro.
No, but on the road to that number, right? You're investing it correctly. You're trying to
Like,
log
let
up
me
right
let me rephrase it. You don't need that much money to live your day to day, right? And if you
now.
wanted to just hang out in Mexico for freaking 3 months straight, you don't need that much money to do
Well, not when you know how to get credit card points.
that. So what I'm asking is like, how do you know once you're at that point, like what's next?
Spend time with my family. I mean, not that I don't do that now, but I want my family to be able to live the life that they deserve because they worked their ass off the whole time, right? My parents specifically,
Mm.
right? So it's not about anything else but helping my parents live the later half of their life the way that they want to, or the way that they deserve to,
Right.
right? Because they work so damn hard their whole life.
So now that we're getting underneath it, it's not really about you.
No,
It's about running it up, making sure we make all this money so that our people's is all right.
right. And creating a legacy for yourself and your family.
Hell yeah. I love it. Cool, dude. Well, what I usually do is I'll ask this last question.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the Hustlers Blueprint podcast. We get it out the mud. You know what I'm saying? So if you were parked on a park bench in a random city, you had no money and you had no connections and you had to go make some shit happen, what's your blueprint?
Do I have a cell phone?
You could have a cell phone, but ain't
All
no
right.
contacts in it.
I'll tell you right now, I'm going right into a Facebook group. Wherever I'm at,
Mm.
I'm going right into a real estate investor Facebook group. And I'm telling every wholesaler in that group, send me any deal that you have that's a dead lead, or that the seller just wants too much money and it's
Mhm.
not a good wholesale number. And we're
Right.
gonna help, and we're gonna help them get this. We're gonna help them get it done, and we're gonna JV on it.
Hell yeah. So you're gonna go download the Facebook app. You're gonna go contact what these wholesalers that might have some leads that they don't know what to do with.
Yes, sir.
What does that look like?
Well,
And why would somebody not know what to do with their lead?
so there's a couple different scenarios, right? What the typical wholesaler is looking for is to try and get a property as low as they possibly can, right? Even if the property's in okay condition, right? Even if the property was just lived in by granny and grampy and it's just outdated, right? And a seller wants close to market value or wants market value for the property. A wholesaler's gonna be like, oh, this is a shit lead, da 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 da. because they can't get them low enough, right? In order for that wholesaler to make money. So we can help convert those leads. I can help convert those leads, and that's why I'm saying that through some creative stuff that we've learned and what we did on the deal, with you, right? Would help that wholesaler convert those leads, and at the end of the day, we both make money.
So a lot of these wholesalers, they could have some problems. Maybe they don't have a big buyers list, and they get a property under contract that possibly is a cash deal, but they just don't have a buyer for it because they haven't talked to any buyers. So they reach out to somebody like, hey, I have this property under contract for this, but I don't have a buyer for it. Do you? So that's one route.
That's one route. Yep.
Or it doesn't work for a cash deal. And now they're like, well, nothing else makes sense. However, there's a ton of different options that Bryant knows, myself know, right? That we can help a wholesaler get that lead to convert.
Right.
So you would reach out to all these wholesalers and figure out their problems.
Yep. Figure out the wholesale's problem. All right, let's see what deals you're working on. Okay. What's going on with this seller? And then just pick up the phone and start calling the sellers, seeing if we can help solve that seller's problem. Hey, do you still want to sell? Okay, great. You're stuck at, for instance, you're stuck at 300,000. Okay, great. If we come up to your price, do you care how we get it done? Nope, I don't care. Okay. So we learned how to wholesale to conventional and FHA buyers, essentially.
Right. Got it. So we're always solving problems. That's what we're trying to do. If you want to make money, you got to solve some problems.
So no matter what business you're in, right?
For real. Now that I'm thinking back at it, whenever I've asked that question so far on the podcast, it had to go with solving a problem. Like the answer had to deal with somebody solving a problem. At the end of the day, if you take a problem and solve it, you can make some money. That's how McDonald's makes money. McDonald's, people need to eat quick for cheap. That's a problem. Ain't a good problem to have. But it's solved and they're compensated.
Right.
But Brian, I appreciate you, big dog.
Appreciate you for having me on.
Brian possibly might be doing another deal.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna see what that looks like. If we do, we'll do a breakdown of that deal, and possibly maybe we'll get on another video and break down our last deal.
And here's the last thing I want to say. Anybody that has a deal, that watches this, that has a deal, and you might be like, oh, this is too tight or anything like that, or I don't know how to get this done, hit up Mike, hit up myself. We can both definitely help you. I'll do a deal wherever. I just don't need to do a deal in my market. Doing a deal in Brockton, Massachusetts, doing a deal in Atlanta right now, doing a deal in North Carolina right now. Doing deals in Pittsburgh. We're doing a fix and flip virtually in Pittsburgh. So wherever you guys are at, if you need help with anything, let us know.
Cool, man. You're the man, bro.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, big dog. Let me log off this live really quick.